Let's call meeting to order. Approval of last month's minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve last month's minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Executive Director's report, Michael.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Start off with just a couple items I want to touch upon first under acknowledgements. I was going to mention that all the Hughes is celebrating her 29th anniversary. Since this is going to be her last anniversary, I don't know. She's announced retirement in the year. All in all, her hard work throughout the years and supporting for district schools.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, thank you.
Right. Next, government affairs update. I want to touch on a couple things, both the state and federal level. The state amendment filed this week with the transit trailer bill language. This is meant to address some of the items that we had talked about that the bill that was passed and the law last fall missed or needed to be corrected or things need to be adjusted. Items in the transit bill include for downstate attempts to prevent IDOT from reducing appropriations. There was some movement by IDOT to reduce appropriations for a number of downstate transit agencies, including RMTE, raising down a level of what we weren't using, but kind of sets us back in terms of future growth and what RMTE and some of the other downstate transit agencies are looking to do into the future. So we want to make sure they stay where they're at and then continue to grow in future years. And it also made several adjustments to some agencies that were short on appropriations, so they were pretty systematic that it was never offset the ones they were increasing downstate. But the Transit Association didn't like that and didn't support that, so we pushed back on that. It's not like that's going to be corrected. A couple other items. There was a reinsertion of there was some transfer fund language that was missing from the bill that was included back. So what happened with that is that all the money that's collected from downstate operating assistance, money that's unspent at the end of the year is transferred into our capital account. So in the late night hours of editing the bill, it struck statement. So put that in. It also, there's another provision that has language to ensure that all funds being deposited in both downstate transit fund and the public transportation fund are deposited directly and shall not be held by transfer from any other fund. And so what this is that the sales tax revenue is collected automatically, or there's provision that automatically puts it into the downstate account for distribution. And some of the other new mechanisms of funding that were implemented, some transfers from interest into their fuel tax into our capital account. There was no language that allowed for that automatic transfer, so that's included in too to make everything uniform. And then those are the kind of major items that are going to be in the transit bill. A couple items that are left out of this, and really there was an effort to just do technical changes and not major changes, and that's what was kind of driving the governor's office, I think, to legislators that they want to, get things that need to be corrected by the beginning of the fiscal year. And July 1st. So it doesn't include the change in the reimbursement rate that we've been advocating for from 80% back to 75% for downstate urban agencies. There does appear to be a commitment to addressing this in the fall veto session. So we're optimistic that will be addressed then. And it certainly ways then because we've already have set things in motion for fiscal year 27 anyways, and IDOT that probably can't process that change in a timely manner. It was passed anyway. So that is fine. And the last provision that will likely get addressed is there was some, I'll call that double obligation of funds, where there was in the capital section for downstate, a one-time transfer of funds for downstate rail projects. A substantial amount of money was allocated for that one-time effort, but the problem was that after we went back and viewed it, after everything was passed, about $150 million of that would already been obligated downstate transit. So we can't use it for different things. So there has to be an effort to correct that, which will take place at the downstate fall session. So that's what's going on. Optimistic, good news, things getting addressed, that need to get addressed, and still let's see some efforts beyond that next fall to correct the legal. So I'm updating on that. Other piece of good news to some degree on the federal side is the Transportation Infrastructure Committee released and completed markup of the 5-year service reauthorization bill last week, so we've been waiting on that. And in the House baseline proposal, for the bus facilities program, there was a concern and risk initially that it could be reduced up to 50% from what it is currently because of the way that the program is formatted. Half of it's in baseline, half of it's essentially in discretionary programs that are programmed on an annual basis. And so that's half of how the bus program is constructed under IIJA. And so the committee did some really great work to really address the shortfalls in the bus program. And so I think what we've seen coming out of the markup is that there's an overall increase in the bus program. Beyond what we thought the baseline assumptions would be, the preservation and growth of that fund over the 5 years that really gets us at the very end to what a lot of the associations have been advocating for. We'd like to see it at the front end, so we're first to continue with the congressional and Senate representatives to address that. There's additional support for mid-sized and smaller agencies in the formula. A big thing was the share of all funds available for transit, 20% of that going to transit capital, which historically transit capital fell way behind over the various five-year authorizations that preceded this, and finally it's gotten back at the level where we got a share of the whole. It's 20% historical level, and then some important policy reforms related to NEPA streamlining, spare bus ratio elimination by American timelines. In short, NEPA is, things to simplify a process, such as getting approval to use federal funds to clear a bus shelter. You have to go through this very arduous process just to get approval to put in shelter in the same way that it would be to build a bus facility, right? So making, some changes that streamline processes like that. Spare bus ratio is another one where, depending on the size of your fleet, there's a requirement for having a 20% spare ratio, which for a lot of agencies who have pivoted to alternative fuel technologies with their fleets, there's a greater sensitivity to having such a tight ratio. So there's acknowledgement of that in this bill writing that eases that restriction. Some good things that came out of it, still not the funding level we really want, but we're going to continue with the various advocacy organizations we belong to encourage some better support for that. While it's optimistic the bill is out, that matters for an election year, and whether both chambers are motivated to pass something to get a reauthorization bill out there before the elections is still important. So short will be stay tuned. All right, so with that, then we'll get into the rest of the agenda. If there's any questions, happy to answer those, and we can talk offline and so getting the main part of the agenda, the finance section, to finance payment of bills, we have the AGHL services rendered through March 31st to April 30th, 2026, the packet for review, as well as the Williams McCarthy services rendered from April 24th. Any questions on those? If none, then we will move on to the approval of the accounts payable invoices. So this month, total invoice to be approved is $3,578,744.08. If there's any questions with the items, including the packet, 9 cents, sorry. $3,578,744.09.
Wrong way to go to jail for a penny.
Yeah. So, any questions otherwise?
The hearing ass chargers and equipment, that's just the one we've kind of been waiting on and planning for the new space. The
Sure.
the chargers, are the chargers, the hearing ass chargers?
Yes. Yeah, there will be, you'll see probably maybe then 4 or 1 after that, there'll be an additional 60,000 for commissioning. But they're only paying now to them once for the actual dark exhaust.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable invoices, for $3,578,744.09.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna item B, approval of increased monthly pension funding, so memo and put in the packets, for an increase in that amount. 165 to 185. Thank you. 165 to 185. So, $165,100 equal. Any questions on that? We'll ask a motion to approve it.
I'll move the motion to increase the monthly pension from 165,000 to 185,000, is that correct?
Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All right, then to item C, the pension portfolio review for May man. I say some pension investment statement for Vermont that we give over the whole citizens by Jeff and my associates. Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, board, for including me on your field trip today. Nice to meet you, locale. Well, Mike, I'll be quick today. It sounds like you have a lot of things to take to the meeting. So in your packet, we provided information through May 19th. We'll start with the portfolio overview for the calendar year. And I highlighted some information for you. On the upper left, under components of change, year to date, we started the calendar year with just under 35 million in assets. So far, we have made half of the pension contribution for the fiscal year. We've had pension obligations of 671. And then between unrealized gains, realized gains, and income and expenses, we have a total gain of $904,029 with an ending value last week of $35,790,815. Over to the right top corner, we have portfolio returns at a percentage. For the quarter, we're up just under 4%, and year to date 2.6. So there's been a great recovery and resurgence in equities since the discussion of a resolution to the war in Iran, and I'll circle back to that in a moment. As of today, though, interestingly enough, in a week, we are at 36,356,000, so we're up another 1.5%. So year to date, we're up 4.1%. So, again, the market has been strong based on negotiations that the war will end soon, or that there will be an agreement. And then on top of that, the AI stocks continue to really keep all equities, especially growth-oriented stocks, up. Down below in the middle section there, we have our asset allocation. Basically, we are 50% equities right now. And I will say global equities because we have some international stocks as part of that. And then 40% fixed income, which includes our bonds and our cash that we use to fund our pension obligations. Any questions on that piece? Just a quick highlight of the portfolio. As I mentioned, large cap growth stocks continue to really do well. So that is a big adder to the return of the portfolio. We do have one large cap value fund that is on watch, the FMI Institutional. That's a large cap value fund. Year to date, that is negative. So we're keeping an eye on that manager to see if we need to replace them. And as I alluded to in the international category, that continues to be a high performer for the year, especially emerging markets are over 12%. Our bonds are flat, which is expected. Bonds and stocks work inversely. So as we have strong stock market, bonds just kind of do their thing. But reverse, when we have volatility, the bonds perform better because investors go with safety. And then similar last year, our alternative manager, the Eaton Vance Global Macro, is up just under 6%. So overall, we're very pleased with our managers right now and how they're performing. In addition to them, we have an update on fiscal year, which we're about done with that. So that's the single page, looks a little different. On fiscal year, we started with 33,399,000. We had a total for that, which shows the current full year of pension contributions of 1.5 million. We also had pension obligations of 1.6. At the bottom, we ended again, last week at 35,790 for an investment gain of over 2.5 million. And that returned 7.6. So we're above and beyond where our target is for the actuaries, and the calculations for the pension portfolio. With the updated performance of 9.2. So it would appear that we're going to finish the year very strong on a fiscal level. That'll help the actuarial calculations when Brett comes in next year. So any questions on the fiscal year? So a couple things, as I noted already, there is a lot of hope in what's going on in the stock markets right now, and the data that's going to come out related to potential inflation lags. So this week we're going to get some inflation data. It's probably going to show that inflation is up year over year. I think we're going to continue to see that through the summer. That's probably going to cause some volatility. There's the old saying in the stock market, sell in May and go away, meaning that everybody just kind of rests their portfolios and enjoys the summer and then picks it back up in the fall. We haven't seen the sell in May and go away because of AI stocks and tech. But we may see some volatility as the economic data comes in. It's a little bit disappointing. So we'll keep an eye on that. Having said that, we also have a new Fed chairman, Kevin Warsh, as our new Fed chairman, who voted in last week. So he's got a tough quarter in front of him to navigate us through this. So more to come on that. But with the fact that the markets are up, you're probably going to see us do some rebalancing somewhere here in the middle part of the year. We will harvest some of those gains. We'll shore up the fixed income side of our portfolio and be a little more conservative as we move towards the end of the year because we have some uncertainty. We have midterm elections that are happening in the fall, and likely, who knows what may happen, but it's quite possible that'll be a tough economic part of the year, but there also may be some things that happen that buoy the markets. Hard to tell what goes on. So we'll keep an eye on things. We'll keep an eye on the data and the managers and continue to report.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
All right, the other financial statements for April will be for the next month, so that next section would be agenda. We'll move on to E3 operations, maintenance, facilities. Including that the operations report for April.
Just see Fixer ridership is up 10% from April last year. And overall for this year to date, we're 3.1% higher than we were at this point last year. Paratransit, we're down a little bit for the month and for the fiscal year. Operation planning, Orlando held a public hearing out here on the 19th to go over our proposed fall service changes. Was there any input or?
There was not any input in the interviews.
Okay, well. But we are prepared for that. New hire training, I won't read through all that, but we got the people through. We started with people today, so people are finishing up and on their own and a little ahead of schedule, and we'll get focused back on paratransit so we can try to get the down staff back up a little bit. But didn't like every time we start to get ahead, we lose a couple people. So, but we did start a new class of what, 3 today?
2. Actually, it's 4 and 4. We had 8.
Okay.
2 more.
So
It's better.
yes, better, excellent. Vehicle maintenance, things that look good, or vehicle availability, and good on both sides. We're entering the, as you can see, it's a little warmer outside, and so summertime is always a little more challenging for the maintenance guys, but hopefully things transition smoothly. Project for facility, phase 1 is we're wrapping up. They're working on the garage door sensors and pedestrian warning system. Bus battery chargers are being installed. We hope to get those commissioned early next month, which is what the $60,000 charge would be that I mentioned earlier. We're hoping to start running out the new side with our staffing over their next vehicles sometime in the next couple of weeks. So we got to get a couple of things figured out, but we're getting pretty close to be able to run out over there. So Phase 2 work is moving along quite quickly. We have attached, CCS's monthly report for your review. The shelters that, you guys approved a couple meetings ago have been ordered and will arrive in mid-September. And, the shelters from ComEd, our relationship with them, those are now ordered, those should be arriving in October. Any questions?
Just curious on the training, is it a 3-week training then, or how does the training work?
Takes as long as it takes.
Yeah, it's
There's a
longer.
lot of writing along, grading along, ability.
And some people come in with their CDLs and some people don't. So the CDL people take a little bit longer.
Fixed route training, typically 4 to 6 weeks. Paratransit training. Plus, we're trying to write about 5 weeks right now.
Thanks.
Question regarding the paratransit ridership, for the month of April. You said 6% lower than April 2025. Is that typically normal, in an average of every year, or is it just we're seeing?
No, I looked at the year before and it was, the ridership was up from the year before, but I don't see a correlation between anything. It's
Okay.
one of those things, I think.
Okay.
I'd like to say people ride the fixed route instead, but I don't think that's the case, unfortunately.
Big bump up last year, it's like, see, with normalization and ridership there.
Mhm.
Any
On some
questions?
of the, I was just gonna comment on the paratransit stats, that it was nice to see we have our, for 2026, some of our on-time percentage has gone up some too, so that's nice to see, and I like that we keep track of that and can report out on that, so.
Yeah, with the new software, Troy's really good on the reporting side. Fortunately, Peter did, because he's got a staff shortage today, so he couldn't make the meeting, but, he's really good on the report side with that software. We're able to pull a lot more, information out for everybody to look at, analyze what we're doing.
And then we're starting to see the cross of now of same system to the same system last year too. There's probably a little bit more variability in prior months comparing the old system to the new system. So, it's, positive trend for the. Any questions? Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the resource reports, including packet of claims history for April. And it's noted in there to see that the expenses were 5% higher, compared to last year, but overall, we still continue to trend a little bit lower down, 4.9% alone in the last fiscal year. So there's variability from month to month, but overall, we're trending positive. Questions there? None, we'll move on to the next item, marketing reports, including your packet, there's a outline of efforts associated with our advertising and marketing program along with knowledge efforts. Elena, would you like to highlight any programs?
Yeah, just really want to give a big shout out to Kirsty. As mentioned in my report, we went to disability resource fair. And the reaction that she received was very heartwarming. A lot of people came up to her saying how much they helped their family, kind of individual that they might have in the family that needs to navigate or get more independence. She was a really big cog in that. So and her shift is 4 to 1, I believe. So she gets all that early morning risers. So the first lady that came up to her started crying, gave her a hug, because she helped her son really navigate a new space in his life. So big shout out to her, and it was really good resource fair, but it just kind of showed, on that paratransit side, the impact that we're having in real time. A lot of times we just look at numbers, but we actually see the people firsthand that was really out. So yeah, just want to highlight that. And then in the memo as well, we just talked about the 2 campaigns. One of the ones that you guys approved a couple months ago. Some numbers and statistics for that. So very happy with those when it comes to households that we reach, the overall number of households we reach, along with the impressions that we got as well. So the difference between those two, we don't know. Impressions are how many times an ad is seen on the device. So one person can have more than one impression, but the reaches are the one time that it reaches that one individual device. So both those numbers were pretty positive in both the campaigns that we ran, so I was very, very happy with our kind of visual efforts when it came to that, really pushing our edge around campaign, so, yeah.
Questions on that? No, move on, E6 grants, so included in the packet, resolution 2602, for utilization of the 7 humanitarian federal funds, for our, better maintenance of security and operations program for next fiscal year. Apologize to,
yes, amendment number 3, it's for 3,283,537, which is the 5307-51 fiscal year 21 lapsing funds. All these funds will be, matched with our downstate operating assistant program funds from the state. And again, as Mike said, it's, RFP 602, which authorizes the executive director to execute and file this grant. And we need the board approval.
Are we approving the resolution separately and then the application separately or together?
It's all together.
Oh, all together.
Yeah, let's make it simple. Yeah.
I move the motion to approve resolution number R 26-02 FTA 5307 grant amendment.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
thank you. All right, moving on then, safety training reports, put it back for April. So with that, then, there's no data to take you today, along with activity in this month's. Your internal, external, or importance. Any questions on that, Dad? Move on to the business. All right, moving on then to E8 other business. First item on the agenda is the approval of stop loss carrier renewal. Handed out in front of you should be a memo outlining staff's recommendation on this. Susan, you want to go over that?
I don't actually have the handout myself, but I can wing it. So, some of you may remember Sal Reno, our longtime broker. He retired, we stayed with Coyle Kiley, which was his, he was the contractor for them. I was concerned that their ability to, meet what he's been able to do for us, and they exceeded our expectations. And we ended up with a quote where we were actually paid less than he paid. It was the first time that was ever happened in my 10 years here. So, we met with them last week. We asked them to go back and ask some of the other carriers to show them the pencil, which they did. So, if you read the memo, we're recommending that we stay with River, where they're not increasing. We have one individual that's some expensive bills, but he's got what's called a laser amount. They're not raising that. They're not adding any new lasers or anything else in it. And higher medical bills, we would like to continue our relationship. Does that cover it? Yeah. Would you like that back, just to read the highlights? You can read the dollar amounts, they're very similar,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, fixed, they're the lowest fixed costs, proposer, they did go, I mean, their fixed costs did go up. But, when it gets into all the other variable costs associated with, our portfolio, overall, the fixed plus variable ends up being lower than what we.
like our maximum.
Yeah, our maximum, than what it is currently as them being provided. But in general, there is a little increase in fixed costs, but, the fact of the matter is this market at this time.
Very favorable,
The percentage is less. So good news.
They, when we met with them, they told us that for most fully insured plans, they're seeing double-digit percentage increase. Yeah, so we did pretty well.
this year. All right, so first, no questions, motion approved.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve continuing the stop loss carrier coverage for the Federal life insurance in July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, E, award of audit services. So, I'm going to put it in the packet. The district was going out, for audit services for, beginning the start of this year 2027. We received 3 bids, as outlined. The low bid was our current provider, Baker Tilly. They had proposed an amount of $137,200, which I said is a bid. They were found the most responsible and responsive proposer, receiving the highest overall evaluation score, which we got which criteria is attached. So staff is requesting approval to award the audit services contract with Baker Tilly in the amount of $137,200 for 3 years of services. As outlined from FY 26 through FY.
This is our last contract for 3 years of service as well.
Then I move the approval for the award of the audit service contract to Baker Tilly in the total amount of $137,200 for 3 years of audit services, FY 26, $44,000, FY 27, $45,700, and FY 28, $47,500.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Moving on to item C, award of 1 medium-duty paratransit vehicle, so also include your packet memo, outlining that in.
Sure, we have the ability to buy off the state, vehicle contracts. Midwest Transit, I think he, has that contract this year, with the state of Illinois. The base price for the vehicle on the contract is $125,534. We want to add some options that we really need for our service, and make the van last a little bit longer, which brings the total to $131,408. We have some federal funds available to utilize, so no local funds will be needed to purchase the vehicle. We're just looking at one of them. We'll replace the one that's exceeded its useful life. So, staff is recommending and requesting the board to approve, issue of PO to Midwest Transit for 1 medium-duty vehicle in the amount of $131,000 and, $131,408.
I'll make a motion to approve the award to Midwest Transit Equipment, Inc. for the acquisition of 1 medium-duty vehicle in the amount of $131,400.
And that's brand new, right?
Brand, yes.
Oh.
Yep. It's real similar to the ones we just got.
Okay.
Same contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, then award of fitness room equipment. So, I'm going to put the packet outline the fitness room equipment purchase. We have some available capital funds that we've identified to utilize for equipment in the new fitness room that we've added as part of to the expansion project. You know, one item I think I've done that's been mentioned to me more times than I can recall for our maintenance section, our operations section, is gee, nice to have a fitness area where we're off duty to go exercise. So, you know, that was incorporated into our design that we showed for the tour. We got a good space up there, which we can accommodate a couple treadmills, elliptical stationary bike, rowing machines, training dumbbell rack and performance rack, some for stretching forward and so forth. So staff, went out, got a couple of bids for that list of equipment from a couple of firms. Quotes were as provided in the memo. The low quotes from Direct Fitness Solutions for $29,105. So we were recommending requesting approval to issue purchase order for the equipment that's out on that amount to Direct Fitness.
No. Move the approval to issue a purchase order to Direct Fitness Solutions in the amount of $29,135 with the cost to be paid out to local capital funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on then to item D or E, approval of change order for facility expansion project. So again, no aligning, IFP 2303 change order. So as you recall, with the expansion project, we originally had an amount of funding allocated for the project through, state capital. We utilized some federal funds during the course of that, but through the state capital that we had available, we issued the original contract with Scandrolli for $29,577,000, which has some parts in it that we didn't have enough money to add on. As federal funds became available, we added on the electrical portion of the charging infrastructure installation as part of, under the original bid, alternatives E1 and E2. So that increased their total award with those alternatives, but we didn't have enough money to cover the last two items, which were alternates A1 and A2, which were really exterior treatments to the east wall that's close to the bus drive, the bluish paneling, as well as the south end of the garage, the paneling there, and then the north administrative area, or sorry, each of the facings of the administrative area of the second floor of the facility. So all of that involves one, converting the metal panel facing to brick, repainting a lot of those areas to match the rest of the facility, and replacing some paneling that was in bad shape with some good paneling that we were removing. So that was all alternate A1 and A2, which is so we didn't have what we've got enough funding to take care of originally. So as we're probably, I would say, 2/3 away or through the project at this point, and we've leveraged federal for some of the different elements of this project, including furniture, when we purchased furniture for the project. We've been able to essentially free up some money that was originally in contingency that we were holding back because of all the unknowns and unpredictables that can come up with this project, and feel that we're in a good enough position now that based on all those changes, we have enough now to be able to move forward with that alternate one, alternate two. And this is an opportunity as Scandrolli is beginning to do work on the west facing of the building around on Winnebago, where they're going to be doing masonry work on that whole side, replace that current cinder block, cover the cinder block wall with brick. That if we move now with the change order to do all 1 and all 2, we can leverage what, their employments and the materials they have to be able to continue and do the east side of the building. So a lot of this has to do with, time and funding becoming available and just the progress that we've made the project, having enough balance available to issue this to the state. So all told, we have a slight increase over the original amount that was bid in all 1 and all 2, which was $510,000. There's about a $50,000 increase in there for some additional painting that we're adding to the scope that was left out of the original bid. And regardless, we'd be asking for a change order for that because it makes sense to do it while we're doing it now. But all total, those changes would total $560,000 in change order, which we staff and our owners rep. We want to feel that we're in good enough space, continues to cover this and have enough available in the project moving forward. So we're asking for the board's approval to award change order 109 for $560,000 to IFP 2303 for the project to Scandrolli to include alternates number A1, east exterior wall improvements, and A2 south, east exterior wall improvements, cross-sectional work related additional painting to the existing building. And actually with this, it's contingent on IDOT's concurrence for the changes as well, but on the board's approval, so we can get it IDOT to be done too. Questions? A lot.
Do we expect IDOT to, what does their timeframe usually look like, and do we think
We're gonna ask to expedite. It's difficult, but I mean, in short, I mean, they bid on the project, they have a price. At the end of the day, when you add up all of the bids with all the alternates, Scandrelli was still a little bit. So adding these two on to the overall doesn't change anything. They still would have been low bidder, and we started here at the beginning. So from that standpoint, that it's not really a question of, apples to apples. It's their bid was lowest, we're just finally having the funds available to finish this. So, and if we don't move forward now, then cost that we incur in a phase 3, which we would have to bid out separately, and somebody would have to remobilize around all this, we're gonna see some escalated costs here far beyond what these bid amounts would be. So I think, taking the opportunity to leverage being on site and having them continue to work, keep the price a little reasonable, we don't have to incur increases unnecessarily. So hopefully it makes sense.
I'll make a motion to approve, change order number 109 for $560,000 to IFB 2303 renovation of the expansion Mulberry Street project for A1 and A2 plus the extra work related to the additional route.
Second.
All in favor?
Great, thank you.
Nice to see that we can add those in.
Yeah.
It's a project.
Take advantage of that. Moving on then to item F, approval of proposed fiscal year 2026 service changes. There's 2 or 3, 4, 7, sorry. So, yeah, that's it. F7 service changes. So outlined in the memo in your packet are all the various changes we're looking at implementing for fiscal year 2027, of which we detail in our planning session with Dr. Lord previously. That was incorporated into our budget proposal that the board approved. So everything listed here are things that we considered when we developed the budget for fiscal year 2027. One of the principal items of note in all of this is that Love's Park was interested in continuing, based on the state funding reimbursement change. They're able to basically continue paying the same amount to give their service. They weren't to add their service. So the freshman year, they want to take advantage of the change in formula to add service, and areas that they were really interested in adding were during the early morning hours of the weekend, particularly on Saturdays, adding evening service, weekday evenings, and then adding Sunday service. And mainly in that area of what we consider old Lowe's Park or original Lowe's Park, from Landstrom up to Harlem, and from the river over to kind of Forest Hills area. So we put together a proposal for them, reviewed it with them, and they liked it and said, that's what they're interested in doing, as well as there was some interest in providing some additional service to provide access to the sports core to the facility for folks traveling to from there, traveling to from there, provide better access, as well as why someone or the industrial. So that was also factored into that. So that's a big area of change. There's some minor changes that we've also included in there based on some of the things we learned from the couple of service changes that we put in place, and slight modification of schedules or slight change in routes. But the other main change that we're looking at is adding service frequency on number 12 Charles Street. Weekdays, bring that up to a 30-minute frequency. As you've seen in the board reports, it's one of our higher ridership routes without 30-minute frequency, as well as on the 16-17 loop routes on the south half of that route from downtown to Forest City, providing 30-minute frequency on that span of the route. So that way on that route, which is our second highest ridership route after State Street, will have 30-minute frequency on the portion from starting at Walmart up on Riverside and Forest Hill across to Rockton, down Rockton to downtown, and from downtown out Winnipeg, goes at a 15 mile way across Rockford. So really kind of addressing the heart, this service frequency increases to the southern half of Rockford and communities in those areas. So what we did is we broke this into 2 phases dictated by manpower. So as we continue to train folks, hire more folks, we're putting the service expansion items on a later date, starting in October for the next run pick that we have. Regular operators pick that we have in October, so we align those service changes with that date and start the summer with these more slight route or slight scheduling route modifications that don't really impact our manpower schedule from that standpoint. So that's what the memo outlines. So we have our July 2026 service changes that will go in effect on July 5th, and then our October service changes will go in effect on October. As was mentioned earlier, in a public hearing on this, we didn't receive any feedback for attendance at that, or any feedback we received in lieu of not attending. So at this point, we met our obligation at least of the hearing. When we're not reducing, we're adding, there's very few concerns with that. I'm sure other folks would ask for more to be added, but continue down that path. Questions?
Can you remind me on the timeline for the downtown circulator effort and project?
So with that we're looking at approximately fall of 2027, so fiscal year 2028. So that'll be next year's budget. So that'll be part of planning effort that we'll look at this year. We still, good news on that is that about a month ago, we finally heard that USDOT had approved that grant to move forward those funds to be released. We're still waiting for that to be confirmed and then actually get in the grant so we can actually provide it. But it stands right now, we're still in limbo on moving forward with some of this because we don't actually have money to buy the buses. And I think as we detailed the board, we are currently, as far as service changes go, we are at our max in terms of what we can do based on vehicle availability on a daily basis to put out any more service. So we're capped kind of where we're at right now until we add expansion vehicles. We found for discussions about that here in the months to come. But you know, if we're gonna do the circulator, we need buses and we can't have buses to get the grant. And once we order the buses, it can take about a year and a half just to get there. So the timeline, we're starting to get time on when we can actually start.
Yes. Thank you for that. I'm away with the service changes here. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed July 2026 changes effective July 5th and October 2026 changes effective October 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Great, thank you so much. Moving on to item G then, approval of workers' comp insurance renewal, memo in your packet to that. I don't think anyone cover
Sure, our current policy expires on June 30th. So we work with our broker, Marsh. Yeah, and they got like 3 names, that's what we work with. So Marsh account, go out to market. Generally speaking, we don't get a whole lot of interest from other insurers on this. So they kind of beat down the IPR who's our current provider for insurance, has been for several years. So and market calendars, our rates actually went down 3% from our current year. So a lot of that is thanks to Drex's involvement in handling these cases, being really involved with the adjusters on their side and what's going on. So we did budget quite a bit of money for this because nobody predicted including them, the premium going down. So we budgeted $1,139,000 and some change for this fiscal year. I'm sorry, for fiscal year 27. But the renewal rate came back at $859,887, which is, I mentioned, a 3% reduction from what we're currently paying. So they are recommending issuing a purchase order to IPRF to bind coverage at that amount.
move the approval of the awarding of the purchase order to IPRF.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on then to item I. No, I'm sorry, item H. Lost so many letters. Approval, authorizing line of credit loan agreement up to 1.5 million with UMB Bank for the purpose of providing such response districts in connection with operation of the transit systems of the district. So as you know, we've had, in one form or another, a line of credit, with our banking partner. There's been a revolving agreement over the years and always been at 1.5. And, we have recently started working with Rockford, who's here from UMB on renewal, as that agreement expired here in the end of March. So we're gonna get some back on the books, and before we had some reserve there that could carry us, and that we had some issue, but we want to make sure it's 2.5 and continue on that effort. Couple changes this time around from last time around. The state of Rockford went through the past. We issued the line of credit under a bond authority. You know, as times evolve, that's not necessarily something we do anymore. As a partner that we have with UMB and, you know, being our bank, that's not necessarily their end for us to do. And so we're issuing under more of a simpler effort this time around than we've done in the past. So a lot fewer signatures on this. If you have questions, I can answer those now or direct them to Brent. But it's just a continuation and improvement to exercise that line of credit and activate that when needed. If we got to an issue that we talked about in the past, we want a shortfall of delay from the state reimbursement funds or from the federal on the federal side. If we had a capital program of which we ordered something and it came due and we paid it, they normally turn it around within a day or so, and there was some unknown funding delay that we have this ability to cover those costs or shortfall that were ever to occur. As you know, we've mentioned this, we've activated this maybe one other time recently, and that was just back when we purchased we used debt service on the state's operating systems program by buses, and it's a short period of time where we utilized it to delivery and reimbursement to cover our aside from that. Very rarely use it, don't anticipate using it, but there's questions.
And we have used it in the past before, close to that 1.5 or how?
It's a not to exceed, and so I think, I don't know to what level we use it, I can't quote it out.
It wasn't very much, I think, if I remember probably calling you, I remember, I think we used it for about 3 days and we got a chart from the state.
For sure.
It was around Thanksgiving years ago. The bill was, you know, the downstate operating assistant contract was so late that when we put in the advances, but by the time we got the advances, we were.
We're 2 quarters behind already.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's up to that amount, but more than that, so if there's a lower amount that she doesn't have, 1.5, it's just whatever amount she needs, exactly.
And then is the agreement, is it renewed for just 1 year or?
It's on a 3-year grade.
Yes.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the operating line of credit loan agreement of up to 1.5 million with UMB Bank.
There's never been a concern with the increasement in the past, has there? With the line of credit to 1.5.
Oh, increasing it?
Yeah.
We've talked about increasing it on different points, but I think the board's direction, we talked about this previously, the thought was that we're in a good enough position now that 1.5 would be sufficient. I mean, that's not something we should go back and revisit, but seems sufficient.
With that, I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Administrative, so just need to take care of signature real quick. My friends here run you through those, and then once we're done with that, then that's the, end of our agenda. We've got an executive session, that we have, three documents signatures. Okay. In the meantime, we can talk about the next meeting date scheduled for Monday, June 29th at 2:30.
It's on board.
Everyone should already be in the calendar.
Yep.
Your meeting out on.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need your signature, we can get that. You want that now?
Yeah, I assume I can run so you can check.
Okay.
Why would I like to do it here, just. Yeah.
So you stay right.
Tell you that. Cause I do need a Milan or somewhere.
There you go, there you go.
So we on the calendar. We already have a calendar.
Mr. James, that meeting?
She's not real good. Yeah, my son's.
You're involved in really fast.
Well, that.
So you're what, probably.
6 months.
Oh,
6 months to chill.
yeah, take it away.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah, you guys can put that hat on the shelves and all that. Alright. So. Aaron's mistakes. Yeah, 1 second.
We're waiting on the signatures.
Well, he needs to review all of that, and it's just real quick and go back over them, but she's just gonna apply them into an office so you can kind of lay things out, make sure we gather it in, obviously. And then come back in and move to an executive session. There's nothing else on the board, I think, but that way, if you find something, then we can bring it back in and sign it.
We have all ends of the record, we don't wanna waste time.
We're good?
That's all.
We'll go into executive session to discuss pending litigation matters pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
Motion.
Motion to move into executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion to, exit executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.